Welcome back to the channel, folks, and to one of two videos that I've made about my recent trip to the UK Nationals at Battlefield Hobbies in Daventry. In this video I'm going to talk about the event, just in broad terms, about travelling to it, what did I find when I got there, getting home. That was a story in itself as well, folks. And in the other video, which is linked in the description below, I talk about my list in more detail and the 5 games that I played that somehow ended up with me coming second. I'm not entirely sure how that happened. I was pleased to have won Best Painted, and I was run very close by other competitors, as I thought I would be for that, because I thought a Nationals event's going to be tough. I've never won a Best Painting competition, so I was pleased to come away with that. I didn't expect any more than that though. Now, if you follow the channel, you know that I'm a fairly casual player. I don't go to tournaments. I would have gone to the Flames of War Nationals tournaments before now, the ones run by Breakthrough Assault at Battlefield Hobbies, but circumstances in the last couple of years have just prevented me from doing it, so I was glad to get the chance. I know a lot of people are maybe not so keen on tournaments. They maybe don't like the potential competitive side of it, and let's face it, it's a tournament, it's going to be competitive, you know. That's one elephant in the room that you're not going to get around. There is going to be from time to time a competitive game, but you probably find that most of the time it's not that competitive. And maybe you're worried about playing 3 games in a day. I certainly was, though I did it earlier in the year at the Scottish Nationals that I helped run and I played in. The 3 games went by quite easily, and at this event they went by quite easily too. It wasn't too much of a strain. And if you do choose to go to a tournament such as this, you're going to engage with the wider hobby, the wider community, and maybe find players who you can meet up with and play outside of the tournament environment. It was great for me to have the chance to catch up with people that I've met before. You know, there's the Valley Gaming guys, that's Rob and Jimmy. Meeting them again, it was great. Rex and Shirley King, always great company, and their buddies too. You know, we spent evenings in the hotel having a good laugh with that group. And for me as well, it was good to meet people who followed the channel. You know, people knew who I was. Some of them spoke to me. Maybe some of them thought, I'm not going to speak to him, I know who he is. But you know, it was great meeting, and probably forgetting people here, but there was Ken, there was Sid, there was Mike, and there was Tim. You know, so you can get involved in a community that might perhaps otherwise be remote from you if you do go to a tournament such as this. But on to the event itself, starting with the journey down. You know, it's always a bit of a road trip going to these kind of events, so we'll start there. And don't forget, if you want to see the games that I played, check the description for the link to that video. Now, we had 5 players travelling down from Scotland in 3 different vehicles. One of them wanted to stop off at like Warhammer World and such like and make more of a trip out of it, and I travelled down with Peter. Peter was doing all the driving because I can't drive, but I'm a very good passenger. We were delayed for a bit by one accident, but otherwise it was a great journey. Weather was great, road was nice and clear, and we headed down nice and early, leaving my house about 10 o'clock so we could get there in time to set up at the venue, because we were both bringing tables. So we got there about maybe 4:30, which was great because that would allow us to get in and get our tables set up, not have to worry about setting the tables up on the morning, because to be honest, in the morning I'm more likely to be a nervous wreck, more worried about getting my army on the table, never mind setting up another table of terrain for somebody else to play on. So good timing all round. Setup was well underway. When we arrived there was a few folk there already, some had been and gone, but it was good to just meet a few of the other players before the event itself started. And I have to admit that most of them were looking at me and saying, "You're the guy that's brought Panzer IVs, aren't you? You must be very brave." So I'm going, what do they know that I don't know? Now, there was 42 players turned up for the event, so Battlefield Hobbies were using their main room that you can see here, and it's quite good, folks. There's actually quite a lot of space. They had a separate space in the shop that was being kept for players who were just coming in for casual games 40k, whatever it might be. And then the other tables were in a building next door, kind of spread between a few floors in that building, and they had maybe about 6 tables in there. They were good tables because they were quite comfortable, quite quiet, and you didn't have to shout quite so much to be heard, which is all part of the atmosphere of a tournament. But first impressions were great. The main hall was looking really good, plenty of space. The tables were looking really nice, and the rest of the shop, I have to say, really impressed me too. I'm going to walk you around the shop a little bit so you can have a look at what it's like inside. It's easy to look at a website, but to actually see what's inside a shop, and more importantly, what's available for you to walk in and buy and walk out with, that's much better than just looking at a website. Now, a lot of gaming venues are really gaming venues and shops in name only, really. They don't necessarily carry a lot of stock, and that's always a bit of a letdown for me, especially if I'm going to travel to somewhere and look to spend some cash. But just look at this, folks. This shop is very, very well stocked. I was really impressed. It's not just about signing a lease and paying the rent. If you want a good, successful shop, you also have to have stock available for customers to buy. And Battlefield Hobbies gets a big thumbs up from me. Look at the Flames of War and Team Yankee section, folks. They've even got terrain, they've got buildings, they've got everything. Very, very impressed. Big thumbs up. Check out the description below for a link to the website, and if you're in the area, you really should check them out. Then it was on to the hotel, and we had been told that there might be some flooding down the Daventry Way, and we found it at the back of the hotel. There's a path, and then what might be a canal, and then what is definitely a lake reaching out beyond that. We were 1 floor up, so I wasn't too worried at this point, and certainly the hotel staff seemed pretty relaxed about the whole thing. And the next morning when we woke up, it was pretty much all gone. So it's day 1, game 1, and I'm feeling really, really nervous, but I'm playing Ian in the first game. He has got Soviet reconnaissance infantry with T-34s, decoy Panthers, things like that, and he's not very experienced, so it was actually quite a relaxing introductory game, in the sense that we both kind of felt our way through the game. Me from a tournament experience perspective, Ian from an overall game perspective. So I got an 8-1 win, but his tanks really didn't stand much of a chance against these hard-hitting German tanks and careful Panzer IVs. So an 8-1 win, I'm thinking that's a terrible mistake because my next game is going to be tough. And of course the next game was tough. It was against Jack, and I'm pleased to say though that I did enough to get myself 3 points. Didn't get the win, but that's 3 points. So that is my fallback point, my fallback target, so to speak. So far I'm quite happy with proceedings. Then it's on to that third game. That's the challenging one. Is your brain still working? Can you be bothered? Have you had your backside kicked all day and would rather just go back to your hotel room? Is it going to be a good matchup? Is that going to help you out? For me, unfortunately, no. This was probably the matchup I was least looking forward to, and this was against Stuart from Three Colours Painted and his lovely Berlin infantry with lots and lots of Panzerfaust, Panzerschrecks, all kind of horrible stuff that I really couldn't get near. So I just once again made sure I've gotten myself 3 points. So I've ended the day on a win and 2 3-6 defeats. Not too bad. So I managed to survive day 1, and it was back off to the hotel. At that point, things started to go a bit bad for me though, because I get a bad back if I stand a lot, and you tend to do that during games unless you're very, very casual. You're always moving the stuff about, rolling dice, checking ranges and all kind of things. And I only just made it to the hotel room. I nearly had to go get the guys to get the iron board out of the hotel room and stretcher me in. And then after freshening up, it was out for a meal at the hotel with the group. Lots of people coming and going from the whole event. So it was good socials to be had there, folks, which is definitely one of the least appreciated elements of being at a tournament. If you don't go, if you understand what I'm saying, you need to go and find this for yourself, and you realise that it is part of the event. It's not just what's going on the tabletop. Anyway, everybody was knackered and was in the beds really quite early. I never slept much though, because I couldn't turn the brain off, folks. You know, but I'm like thinking all day long, even though it wasn't something unpleasant, my brain's still going turning around. It's just got images of game in my mind. So I never got much sleep. So I had to get up for that second day. Thankfully only 2 games. So let's see how that went. So day 2, game 4 against US Armour, played Ian, a real gentleman, and I just went charge. You know, I wasn't going to be hanging back. You know, if it all goes horribly wrong, then I'm going to have a relaxing second day because I won't have many dice to be rolling. But it actually went ridiculously well, and I managed to get an 8-1 win. So it's lunchtime, day 2. I've got 2 wins under my belt and 2 3-6 losses, so I'm pretty much on target here. Quite happy with how things are going. So now it's on to the painting competition. I knew it was going to be tough at a nationals event. There's lots of good painters out there. Not everybody who's a good painter goes to tournaments, but a lot of people who are at tournaments are good painters and spend a lot of time getting their armies looking good for the event. The painting was judged by Mark, the organiser, and Hammy from Battlefield Hobbies, though in the end they had to get some casting votes from other people because they found the standard to be really high right at the top, so it was tricky for them. And that's a good sign, folks, because that's a sign that there is not just one dominant painter. There are a few painters out there that can make a competition of it, because I would hate to turn up and almost win by default just because I'm an experienced painter. There's lots of good painters out there, folks, and you shouldn't be shy about showing off your work. Then after the painting competition, the last game of the event, time to relax. Game 4 was against Alexander, one of the Scottish players. This is a bit of a rematch for us because we played each other in the Scottish Nationals in May and it was a draw. At the moment we're both on 22 points each, so we're both really happy. That's a good position to be in going into the last round. We've not had a bad tournament, we've not had a great tournament, you know, but we're keeping in there and we're maybe going to end up about top of the mid-table perhaps. But then I managed to get an 8-1 win, and I think things started to happen elsewhere on the top tables, which put my score of 30 points into a place where I was not expecting.
For everyone coming, that's everything completed. I will post the scores up on the Break for Assault Facebook page, so you can obviously see where everybody was. First of all, it's really good to see so many. We were 42 out of 44 tickets because we had a couple of dropouts, which is the biggest tournament we've had in absolutely ages. So thank you all for coming, and importantly, importantly, lots of new faces, and without new faces, this won't carry on. So for those who came along, even more so, if perhaps you haven't been to an event before and you've taken a bit of a battering, don't worry, we've all been there, and you'll do much better at the second one. But please keep coming along, as it's a really good group. Also, we had 20 tables out of 22 tables supplied by players, and that is also absolutely amazing. So a round of applause to everyone who can bring a table to. We'll do, obviously, thanks to Hammy and Graham for hosting us so well here. It really is a great venue and does everything we want, and in particular allowing us to spill over rather than curtail the number of tickets. So thanks, Hammy and Graham.
I'm just going to get all cleaned up before Monday so nobody doesn't complain.
He doesn't realise what you did.
He knows what we did.
There's going to be some announcements. In fact, I'll do those now. I'll start with Graham. Do you want to do an announcement about events?
Yeah, please. So I'm organising 3 mid-war events in the first half of next year here. On the 4th and 5th of January, it'll be not over by Christmas. 100 points mid-war here. Bunninggrad on the 5th and 6th of April. And Midsummer mid-war on the 5th and 6th of July. If you would agree, I'll ask Mark to let me have your email addresses so I can add you all to a mailing list. I mean, start getting that going. And I'll email all of you and ask if you'd like to join a WhatsApp group so we can start building a bit of a buzz around Flames. Mark's putting a funny face because what he wants is a Discord group, so I'll ask somebody younger and cleverer than me to set up a Discord group as well. But anyway, if nobody objects, he'll give me your details and then I'll start following.
Yeah, if you don't want your email to go out to Graham, then come and see me and I'll make sure it's off the list, otherwise I'll assume you're happy.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, Rivalry will be start of February. I think it's the second weekend. I think it's we've got the date up on the website. If we haven't, it'll be up very, very shortly. I've been umming and ahhing about whether to do Lake War or not because my personal opinion is that Lake War's struggling with the points. But as Graham's doing 3 mid-war events here, I'm going to stick with Lake War for Rivalry because it's traditional. So Rivalry will be here early February. I think it might be 8th night, but I have to check. Lake War, sorry? Okay, 1st and 2nd he's got it as. There you go. So it's a month after Graham's event, and that's Lake War 100 points. And will we stick tables? I don't know. We might go away with the tables. Yeah, just make. I don't know. We'll have a think.
We'll come up how it's
a
going to work.
discussion. If we get a WhatsApp group, we can decide what to go with. Traditional Rivalry as it was. For those who don't know, Rivalry used to have missions tied to tables. So each table had a different mission, and players could bring an army, one army, but with a 40% swap out, so they could change their army based on the mission and table that they were dumped on. The idea being you can bring tanks, but if you've got the town on the table, you can add infantry in or whatever. So we can discuss that. We'll have maybe have a vote on a WhatsApp group when we've created it and decide what we're going to do.
Nice.
Okay?
Finally, Rob, you've got some announcements. Rob Jones.
Me.
You wanted? Oh no, it wasn't Rob. It was you. Sorry, apologies, Rob. Let's go.
Yeah, Scottish Nationals next year during May. It's going to be mid-war. We're going to be releasing the pack within the next couple of weeks because we're not entirely sure what points we're going to do yet. But it's in Bathgate, just outside of Edinburgh. Lovely place, and it's very convenient if you actually do want to do a tour around Scotland as well. So please come.
Hotels?
Pardon?
Are you going to be listening if somebody wants to go?
We're going to be.
There's a local hotel people stay.
We put a couple of hotels on the things, but you can obviously pick whatever you want. They're all within travelling distance because it's on the main train route anyway. Yep.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks all. So yeah, the tournament scene, as you can see, is alive and well. So what everyone's been waiting for. So we will start with what I call the Guts to Try. Sorry, I'm going to tell the story again because we've got so many new faces. So the Guts to Try comes from a story when the Delta Force, the American Special Forces, was formed. They went out to try and rescue Iranian hostages in the 80s. It went spectacularly wrong. But the SAS, who taught them, and they based themselves on, bought them a crate of beer, sent it over to America with that one line saying the Guts to Try. So the Guts to Try is for the person who came last and still turned up, gave it their best. And this year that goes to Mike Nursey.
Hang on, photos.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
I just realised we're going to get one more piece of paper.
Oh, another piece of paper.
Right. So that's how I'll push that one out. I'll do it again. Okay. So best sport. So I'll do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we had over 17 votes for different people for best sport, which I think, that's almost 20% of this. So the fact that there were so many people that people had good games with, I think is absolutely fantastic. So firstly, thanks for that. But actually, although it was really, really close, the best sport was Harry. I'll do a quick shake your hand thing. There you go. Thank you.
Now I'm going to take 2 photos so that you can choose if one's better than the other.
Okay. Next up is the best scenery. And by a country mile, that goes to table 14 for Peter McCarroll. Anybody?
Great.
There you go. Okay, so we're now going on hotly contested. So best painted. So we went around. There's only come up obviously for first prize, but we're going to mention the top 3, and they were really close to the fact that Hammy and I, who were adjudicating, had to open it up because we couldn't agree and we needed some further expert advice. So in third place, and they really were close, we've gone with Simon. So well done. Second place, and this really was where we had the absolute kind of discussion back and forth, was Peter. So well done. And in first place was Frank. I'm going to go like that. What am I taking now? It's mine. Okay, so on to the actual placings. So we'll start at 5th place. So actually there isn't a 5th place because it's joint 4th. So we first of all did a count back on number of best sported votes. We got they got the same. We then went back and looked at number of 8-1s and they both got the same. So in joint 4th is Graham Wilmot and myself. And that's on 29 points. So, but actually for the, so he started showing Parts Rise at 3rd place. Yeah. Yeah. So, right, so that was 29 points. In 3rd place, with 30 points, on a tiebreaker, on which we based on the best sporting votes, is Rex. Easy smart. So in 2nd place, just purely because he got more best sporting votes, also on 30, is Frank.
What? Yes, folks, that's me saying what? I had absolutely no expectation to place, even though I should have figured it out because I knew that myself and Rex were on 30 points. I heard them announce 29 points was joint 4th. So how I never figured out that I was going to be 2nd, I don't know. I think it's just because I had no expectation at all to do anything other than hopefully get 2 wins and a few 3-point defeats.
Yeah, when you get 30 points, you get up there, Frank. Well done. Which means with 32 points in 1st place is Jacopo. Okay, that concludes business. Thank you very much, everyone, and I hope I'll put out some dates for next year. But it will broadly be the same time next year.
So there you go, folks. That's my experience. First time at the UK Nationals. I did enjoy it. This is a bonus. You know, like the event itself was the important thing. And if that's what your focus is on when you go to an event, then you can't lose, really. So there you go, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed that report. And don't forget, there is a link in the description below for the video where I go through my games, just talk through my games with some pictures so you can see my list in action. Oh, and before we leave, getting home, looking forward to it after a long 2-day event, it's not always as easy or straightforward as you'd hope.